Good day, and thanks for checking out the new Sportsline Podcast here on CHCH. I'm Bubba O'Neil. Well, as you've noticed that Hamilton, Halton, Niagara, it's a hotbed for successful teams, athletes, executives, and even broadcasters. Well, you've landed on the podcast that will be shining the spotlight on these individuals. So let's get down to business. Well, this much in demand right shot defenseman hails from Burlington, where the journey began with the Barracudas. In her teens, she won an NCAA championship while representing Clarkson University in upstate New York. Now, speaking of representing, Renata is a two-time Olympic medalist, winning gold in 2022. In addition, how about 5 women's world championship medals, with the color being gold in 2021 and 22. Now, although teammates with Renata, this Burlingtonia represents the next generation of Canadian greatness, coming up through the ranks with the Oakville Hornets program, scoring goals with Emma Maltais' game. The trend continued at Ohio State University, where she set the all-time Buckeye scoring record. With Team Canada, there's also been Olympic and World Championship brilliance, enjoying that gold medal feeling in 2022 and 2021. So, of course, we describe these ladies and what they've gone through, and so pleased and happy and honored to have both of you here on the podcast representing Toronto and the PWHL. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
This has got to be, I think, the height right now. I know there's so much more in your careers for both of you to go through right now. I'll start with you, Renata. This has got to be an amazing feeling for you, your journey, where you are right now. How does this feel?
Oh, just incredible. The timing couldn't be more perfect that I'm at a point in my career where I get to see out this league and play in it, because I never thought I'd really have the opportunity to do it. And looking back on the things I've been able to accomplish in my career, it's been incredible. But this league and being a part of this Toronto team might be almost at the top of the achievements, just to be a part of this and knowing what it's going to do for the future of our sport. It's just been an incredible month so far.
Yeah, I'm the same. I mean, I just was so lucky to come out of college right into this league. Women have worked so hard to get this set up for us, and I'm so lucky and honored I get to be a part of it from the beginning.
So let's start off with the beginning. I always like to go there, and Renata, we'll start with you, the young beginnings. I don't know, did you grow up, and I'm going way back here. Did you want to play hockey? Was hockey your thing? I don't know. Did you play with dolls? What was your thing back in the day? Way back in the day.
I think it was all over the map. I played with dolls. I played sports. But one thing that was constant, I always did have a ball in my hand. So I was always moving around. My family was throwing the ball away because I was making holes in the walls and stuff like that. But honestly, I came from a family who didn't play hockey. No one in my family played hockey. My parents just wanted to expose us to as many sports and activities as we wanted, and if something stuck, they would continue to invest that we could still play that activity. So I actually started mainly with soccer, and then I was doing dance as well, and I loved dance, which is so funny looking back at it now, because I don't know if I have that same beat, but it was a neighbor who became my best friend named Dana Gahn, and she moved in 5 houses down the street from my family, and she was out there playing road hockey with her younger brother and her dad all the time, and I would come by on my bike with my siblings, and I wanted to be friends with her, and so eventually I became friends with her, and then I started to want to do what she was doing, which was playing hockey. So my parents are like, hockey, this is the craziest thing in the world. Here's our credit card, go with their family to go get equipment, because we had no idea how to get the equipment. So I went with their family and got a set of equipment, and that's when the hockey started, and I just loved being around the rink, the people involved in the game, and that's really how it all started.
What was it that drove you about hockey? Is it the competition? What was it?
Well, I'm super competitive. Actually, Evan and I are both extremely competitive. We might be 2 of the most competitive there are. So yeah, I love the competitive aspect of hockey, and skating. I always loved skating. It came pretty naturally to me, so that drove me in. But honestly, when I look back on hockey and why I've loved it so much, it's the people, it's the teammates I've got to spend time with, and when I was a young kid, that's what drew me to the game, and still to this day. I wouldn't be playing at the age of almost 30, that's crazy, if it wasn't for my teammates and the coaches and everyone who supported me. So really, it's just that community in the women's hockey game that really has brought me to stay in it.
Emma, did you grow up with a hockey stick in your hand? Or?
Yeah, so I had an older brother. He was 4 years older than me. He played hockey for the Eagles organization growing, and the Bulldogs, actually. And I just wanted to be like him. I wanted to keep up with him, and he knew I was super competitive, and he would just like throw me in.
And how old are you here?
Oh, like so little. Like he'd be. Like I'm like 3, 4, and he's like, "Can you go in net? Like I'm gonna shoot on you." And I'm like, "Sure." Like I'm gonna stop anything I can. Like always trying to keep up with him. He'd say, "Race me to the fire hydrant." Like I'm trying to beat him so hard. But yeah, and my mom and dad were really big hockey fans. It's actually how they met, was watching hockey. So I think from a young age, it was in our family blood, and I would love to go watch my brother play, you know, like playing around the rink, playing manhunt, watching his games. And the same thing, I just loved the community and wanted to be a part of it. My parents put me in Tim Hortons hockey at like the really, really young age. And,
wow.
And I remember just like being one of the only kids that could skate really well. They put me in some skating lessons before that, and I loved skating, so I would be the only one on my feet. All the other young girls would be crawling, whatever. So by the time I got to Tim Hortons, I'd be, you know, skating and around the little kids kind of around me, and they would put me on defense because I was kind of scoring too many goals, and I would like skate all the way down the ice, stop at the blue line, and like try and score from the blue line because I didn't think defense could pass the blue line, offensive blue line. So my parents were like, "Okay, like let's put you in boys hockey just to try and accelerate my development a little bit more." So that's how that kind of started, and they said, "Okay."
So hold on, you're playing with the guys now.
Yeah.
Is there a fear level here? Like what's going on?
So actually, I'm thankful for it now with the physicality of the PWHL. It's really how I learned to be physical with my size. But no, I think just I was around boys with such a young age, and it didn't really matter at that young of age, right? Like we were all friends, all buddy, that same community, and you know, no one treated me any different in my eyes. My parents were like, "Okay, if you make AA, we'll keep you in boys hockey," and I ended up making AA and AAA some years, and yeah, so I played for the Burlington Eagles for a large portion of my career before changing to girls hockey, and I played 1 year of hitting. I was kind of at that awkward point where the hitting was increasing. In and out of the game, like at different ages. Right. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm thankful I did it. I did a lot of hitting clinics. My parents wanted me to be prepared. Yeah, and it's helping me now.
It's funny that you brought up the fact that you were scoring a lot of goals at a young age, and that's kind of what translated to you to being a forward, and you know all the success that you had at Ohio State as well too. And I've seen video of the likes of Connor Bedard. We've seen this, Sidney Crosby, and again they're at this young age, but you know putting the puck through their legs and scoring goals. But at a young age, what was it about? Did you model yourself after someone to score goals and be able to do it at a young age?
I honestly think just at that young age, I had the speed to skate. I wasn't putting it between my legs, that's for sure. I'm wide. But no, I think I just wanted to be like my brother and my dad, and following in their footsteps. I didn't have necessarily the crazy skills, but I was always working super hard and never wanted to take my foot off the gas at any point. And I think you can kind of see how that's translated through my career now.
So then you have these sort of minor league, Oakville and Burlington minor league programs, and then all of a sudden, you know, you're into your teens now. Now you're playing it well into your teens. I guess for both of you, it became an option to go on to, you know, university or in the United States and college in the United States. You go to Ohio State, big program. Clarkson University, upstate New York, smaller program. Talk to me about how you got into that, and then obviously a national championship.
Yeah. Honestly, when I went through the recruiting process for universities down in the States, my family really didn't know about it. Like my family was very familiar with the Canadian universities and just thought I would go to a Canadian university. So when interest started to come for American universities, they didn't understand exactly the magnitude of NCAA sports and how big it is and what they offer you down there. So it took a little bit for us to kind of learn about the process. So we were a little bit slower getting into it. But to be honest with you, I played forward when I was a minor hockey player all the way up until my tail end of grade 11. So then I switched back to D. So when I started to move back to D, I got a little bit more interest from universities down in the States. Because of my skating mainly, I still had so much to learn on the defensive side of the puck, but I could skate, and I think that was enticing to coaches. So it was a little bit later to be recruited. I didn't have a ton of options, so I kind of went with the options that I had, and Clarkson stuck out. The coaching staff was incredible. It was a husband and wife co-head coaches who were very personable. Yeah, they're super personable, really easy to get along, and they just continued to contact me about coming to Clarkson, and I eventually kind of had to look into it a little bit more and realize that the school was a fit. They had a strong business program, which I knew I wanted to go into business. It was only about 5 hours away from home, which is a good distance for a homebody like me. And then when I visited campus and visited the girls that were on the team at the time, it was such a family, small, knit community, which I really, really liked and I knew I wanted. So that's how I ended up at Clarkson. To be honest, I didn't really look at the hockey and how strong the program was. Looking back, it's crazy to think how much success we had, because I didn't go there for the hockey. I went there for the schooling and just the coaching. So it ended up working out. But yeah, it's pretty crazy looking back. I didn't have many options, but it ended up working out.
Well, your option is a big option, right? I mean, you got programs like Wisconsin. You've got programs like Minnesota that are just pumping out female athletes on the ice like crazy. You go to Ohio State. What was that like? Because you would settle into a more of a relaxed program that didn't have the success that Ohio State has had the success on many levels of sport. What was the competition like for you to slip in there, girl from Burlington?
Yeah, actually, it's quite funny. So no one really knew why Ohio State didn't have a great hockey program at the time. When I committed in the 9th grade, and everyone was like, why are you going there? Like the women's hockey community. It was not very successful at the time in hockey, and there were a lot of coaching changes throughout my high school career, and everyone's like, you're going to an unstable program. And kind of like Renata, I didn't go there for the hockey necessarily. I knew that it was a very big university with a ton of resources, academically and athletically, and I just thought it was a perfect fit for me, with my personality, tons of people, high energy, the alumni. Like when you see someone from Ohio State, I went to Europe this summer and people are OHing me when I'm walking in Switzerland. Like it's insane, right? And just, I went on campus and I got the shivers. I'm like, I belong here at such a young age, and my parents kind of knew it for me too. So honestly, like the success we had was so out of left field. We got a new coach, Nadine Mazeral, right the year before I went to Ohio State, and she took the program by storm. She put a lot of discipline into our team, and we really bought in as a team and built this culture that now they're winning tons of championships, and I'm so proud to say that I was a part of that growing legacy. What
about the competition level? You go from, your programs here. Was it a big step up for both of you guys to raise your game to that level?
I think playing in the PWHL, like it used to be called the PWHL Junior League, now it's U19, I think
U22, yeah.
U22. It was a really high competition for like high schoolers. Like in my opinion, the transition wasn't too bad. I think the biggest adjustment was practicing every day and playing every weekend, and with the schooling and balancing everything. But I think I was very prepared with the great coach I had in Oakville, Brady Cochran. She's such a great hockey IQ, has taught me so much. So I think for me, the adjustment was more the load versus the speed of the game. But yeah, I thought the jump wasn't as big as I initially thought it was going to be.
Your team, Clarkson, go into these big barns. What was that like?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Actually, I remember my freshman year when I went down to Clarkson, I didn't know what to expect in my first game, and I remember the first weekend we were playing St. Lawrence with St. Lawrence University, which is about, I think, 9 miles down the road from Clarkson, and it's like the Route 11 rivalry. And my parents were coming down to the game, and I like warned them before the first game. I said, just so you know, like I probably will sit on the bench the entire game. Like you don't need to come down to watch the game. Like I don't expect to play, just as a freshman coming in. And it's funny, I'll never forget that first game we were at St. Lawrence, and I was double shifting, and I'm like, what is happening? So it was pretty crazy, and I'm thankful that I could jump in and just play and get confident right away. But our freshman year, we also went to North Dakota. We flew to the University of North Dakota and played their women's team. They don't have a team anymore, but at the time they did, and like their rink was insane. There was like marble flooring all in the lobby. Like it's like nicer than an NHL rink. And coming from Clarkson, from this small town little barn to this massive rink in North Dakota, it was pretty crazy to see. So lucky we got to travel around to see every rink.
Now, there's also something that I think all athletes at this level, at the university college level, have to get accustomed to. And that is the aspect that you're there to play a sport. Some people get a scholarship, some people get a walk-on, but there's also schooling, there's personal life, there's maybe a boyfriend or girlfriend, friends, events. What was that transition like? Because it's different than being home, I would presume.
Yeah, no, it was different for sure. Like the adjustment of moving into a college dorm and having the food hall there at any time, having your roommates with one of your teammates, and there's just always social interaction, like just finding the balance of when you get your school done, when you get your social things done. I would say Emma probably had a little bit of a different experience being in going to Ohio State with so much more on. Like Clarkson was still that small school. We got to know the professors really well, so if you needed help, you were able to just go in and they knew you as a person. You could work with them. Right. In terms of social things, obviously there's always things going on, but you know, you're not going out on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night because there isn't anything in a small town of Potsdam. There's nothing to do on those nights. So yeah, it was a little bit of adjustment. I would say I felt prepared for it though, because I was such an active kid through high school. Like between high school sports, I played high level soccer and hockey all the way through high school. I was always out with my friends in high school, and then schooling. So that really prepared me for when I got to university, just realizing that I needed to get my schoolwork done in order to play. So yeah, but it definitely is a little bit of an adjustment.
What about yourself?
Yeah, I think Renata touched on it a little bit, but with Ohio State being so massive, I didn't have a car because, I don't know, I feel like a lot of Americans have cars in university and like Canadians just don't. And I went there and I had to figure out how to get, you know, like all the way across campus in time for practice, just things like that you don't expect to be like the big changes are the big changes. Like you said, like living in a dorm by yourself, doing laundry, like those little things that take time up away from your schedule, different responsibilities that you have. But I was lucky that Ohio State had tons of resources for their student athletes, with being such a athletic driven school, that in the classroom I had tons of help, tons of tutoring, you know, like an actual library and an area just for athletes to do their homework. So I think just those extensive resources are really what got me to be successful in the classroom. And then we had a dry season actually, so in season we weren't dabbling too much with the socialness, but but yeah, so I think that helped balance for sure too.
All right, here we go. So now everything's rolling. Now you're enjoying the sport. Renata, I'll start with you first because this happened to you first, I would presume. Team Canada come knocking. Whoa, national. Your first sort of practice and experience there.
Oh yeah, I'll never forget it. I was so scared. I was a little bit late into the Team Canada program, so I think it was my sophomore year in university. That's the year we won the national championship. So then that summer was the first time I went to, well, yeah, I guess it was the first time that I got like good looks with Team Canada. I didn't know anyone the first time I went to a camp. I was so scared. To be honest, I probably cried every night, just being like, I don't feel like I fit in here. I didn't understand the terminology that they were telling me. I remember specifically one coach kept telling me to shoulder check, like when I'm going back for a puck, so like look over my shoulders. And I was like, I didn't know what that meant. And I was like, what is she talking about? And she kept getting mad at me because I'd do the rep and I wouldn't do it. And I was like, I don't know what that is. So a big learning curve for me when I got to the Team Canada tryouts. I didn't make it my first couple times, but I think looking back, like I knew I wasn't ready to make Team Canada at that point. But I just like learned each camp I went to, and like I was happy with that. Like obviously you hate to be released and to be cut from a team, but I was like, I'm not ready. But I just got so much better in that week. And then it wasn't until I guess my third year in university that I cracked a roster, and I started to get looks at the senior national team level pretty quickly after that. And then I started to get more comfortable and felt like I could play my game. But yeah, it was always a dream of mine from a young age to somehow play for Team Canada. So to kind of get those looks and to push through kind of feeling uncomfortable and not being very good at that level was super rewarding.
Who at that time, the years that you were kind of getting a look and didn't make it, who were the stars of the team at that time?
Well, this was at the development, the under 22 development age group. Okay. So at the time, I'm trying to think who would have been there. Like my first year, like Poulin was in the development program still. Like Laura Fortino was.
From Hamilton?
Yeah, from Hamilton. Trying to think who else. Like there was a lot of names that maybe didn't make it on to the senior team at that point, but they were like pretty consistently at the development level.
Right.
But yeah, there was a chunk of players who were on those teams that made the senior team as well.
Team Canada, your experience?
Yeah, so I was involved pretty early on with the Team Canada U18 program and the U22, and I always kind of made those teams at the right age. I was introduced early to like the concepts and whatnot. But I think the biggest jump, and people don't realize, is from the under 22 level to the senior team level. Like that team is so hard to crack. The players are so good. Like I remember.
Why are they better? What?
It's just they're bigger, stronger, faster, smarter. Like it's just like that whole nother level. And I remember like I always just wanted a chance to go to a camp. I always wanted a chance to go to a senior camp. And I finally got one, and I remember after that camp, like looking at Kristen O'Neil, who's also on the senior team now, and being like, I don't think I'm literally ever gonna make this team. Like they are so good, and just being stunned about how I felt like I couldn't keep up mentally. I was so behind, but then I got my first crack at it at a Rivalry Series. In Pittsburgh, and I don't think I said a word the whole time. Like Renata was there. I didn't
Different
speak.
person at that event.
Oh, okay.
I did not speak. I was so nervous. Like, I mean, I grew up and Marie-Philippe Poulin is like my idol, and all of a sudden I'm like sitting beside her in the dressing room, and I can't even like look at her. I'm like, oh my God. So I think just that I didn't really play at that tournament, but it got me into the feeling that, okay, maybe I can do it. Maybe I can do it. And then at a camp pretty soon after in Halifax, all of a sudden something clicked, and I played with Laura Stacey, who ended up being my line mate at the Olympics. We had a really good camp together. So after that, I think that got me into a spot to be centralized, and I don't even know how it happened so fast, but all of a sudden I was centralized, and things just started rolling after that. But that transition, and all of a sudden you just have to have one good camp where you feel comfortable, and it kind of slowly happens from there.
I think that's amazing, and just to make that transition, and now you're playing nationally. And the best part about playing nationally is that you get these opportunities once every 4 years to play in the Olympics, and I guess once a year to play in the World Championships. And you're playing with, I will presume here, some foreign players, but mostly Canadians and Americans. You also have this rivalry series. You also seem to run into the United States at the Olympics and the World Championships. And some of them may have been your teammates. What's that feeling like?
Yeah, it's funny, but I think the thing is when you put on that Team Canada jersey, and they would say the same on the USA Hockey jersey, like something's different. It doesn't matter, like if they're your friends over there in the other locker room, like when you get on the ice, like I know for myself, like I don't even realize like who I'm competing against as as who they are as a person. Like I'm just like, I just want to go out there and win. Like if I'm trying to get the puck off someone, half the time I don't even know who it is I'm trying to take the puck off. Like I'm just so focused on what I can do for my team, and there's so much pride in representing your country and wearing that jersey that you set that stuff aside, you respect them as people, you go out there and win, and then we can still have a good relationship with them after, because like you mentioned, a lot of us have played together, and one of my really, really good friends as a defenseman on USA Hockey. I went to Clarkson with her, so we're great friends. But when you wear those different jerseys, there's a little bit of different tension there.
The rivalry is real, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
like it's no joke. Like, I mean, okay, I mean, we know that for the earlier parts of women's hockey, there was not supposed to be any body contact. We are seeing that right now. But yeah, I mean, there's tussles, there's pushing and shoving. If someone goes to the crease and the whistle blows, there's a cross check coming here and there, especially for a forward like you that's getting in tight. Talk to me about that rivalry.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, you want to beat them. Like, there's just like an inner thing that you want to beat them every time. It doesn't matter how many times we play them. It doesn't matter when it is, at what point of the year. If it doesn't matter in the season, like if it's the gold medal game at the World Championships, like you want to be on top. And I think all of us like are so into those games. Like, we're going to go the extra mile to, place a bump on them to get them off their game, crash in it, start something.
And the feeling's mutual too.
Of course, yeah, of course. Sure. I think even in the PWHL though, right now you're seeing that. You're seeing that same physicality and that intenseness translate into that professional league, and that's exactly what we want to introduce everyone into that. So, like when people make that jump to the senior team, they're ready to experience that physicality and play with it.
This may seem like a silly question because I can only imagine what it feels like, and both of you have. Well, I guess, I don't know, maybe you tell me. I mean, there's the World Championships, but I feel like maybe Olympics are the premier of it all. When you win a gold medal at the Olympics, what's that like?
Gosh. I don't, like, it's such a crazy feeling. I think, like, I dreamt of, like, winning a gold medal since I was, like, so little. Like, I can't even imagine when you actually, like, have it in your hand and you just like, I think the coolest part for me is when you show people and how people like light up. Like it's the coolest thing to have that, and that's yours and you can share it with people. And I think I didn't realize like how far something like that goes in the community and for everyone around you. So I think that part is like the part that almost like changed my whole perspective about everything. I don't know.
And Renata, you've had the gold and the silver, and both are amazing. But there's something about that gold, isn't there?
Oh, that was crazy when we finally won the gold. Winning silver was so devastating. There's just an expectation when you represent Canada in the sport of hockey that you're coming home with gold. And to lose in a shootout the way we did and to have that silver medal, like, I know it's still like you're honored to have an Olympic medal and a lot of people would want to be in your shoes, but it sucks. Like, there's no other way to put it. And the hardest part is I remember going to the locker room after winning silver and being so disappointed and just being like, I want to go out there like right now and play a full another game to prove that we can win gold. And to think that in that moment we had to wait 4 years to have a chance to do it again. Like, it's not like you can just go next year and try to get an Olympic medal again. You got to wait 4 years, and in those 4 years, who knows what's going to happen? Like, you might not make it, you might be injured, there's so many variables that can happen. And to be a part of the process from winning silver to so much transformation in Hockey Canada's women's national team program, so culturally, the personnel, more stable coaching, like, there so much went into that 4 years between silver and gold that to stand on the I guess we weren't even on the blue line when we got our medals. To stand on the side when we got our medals, and since it was COVID, we were presented our medals by another teammate, and that was just so special because it was such like a collective process, and it wasn't a 1 year process. It was like a 4 year process to get to that moment, and you know how badly everyone wanted it. It was just so incredible to be a part. One of the most rewarding things is to see out like what you can do in a 4 year process, change something culturally, a process that you want to be a part of, and then to have success with it is pretty special.
Best part about it is that those teammates, you're bonded forever.
Yeah, there's this for sure. Like when you win with a group, doesn't matter if it's an Olympic gold or if it's a national champ, like whatever it is, whenever you win with a team, you forever have a special bond with those people. It's so different. There's nothing like it.
I think with COVID too, like that year, it was so like we were so isolated but together, and we had to figure out ways on, like, I can remember we did like a dance class in the hotel when we were stuck in the hotel. Like just things.
You
like
must have been
that.
first, they were not.
Yeah, no, I hid in the back. But I enjoyed it.
But like things like that, like you remember forever. Like
Yeah.
it's so cool to have that together.
Speaking of cool, what I think is cool, I've said this 1,000 times. If I did a little scratch ticket and won $10 million, I'd put a good chunk towards women's sports right now. I feel like it's time. I feel like there's an unserved market. I feel like there are, Emma, you're kind of that girl that I'm thinking of that's growing up and wants to play sports. But for so many years, even part of your journey, there was nowhere to go after this. Now there is. Renata, how does it feel now that in the back of your mind that you're playing professional hockey right now, and you know what, it's a paid gig. It's not one of the other leagues that you had where you had to work at a bank and then figure out everything. Like, this is your job now. What's that like? And it's so organized, and the sponsorships are there. The the games are being shown on Sportsnet, TSN, and CBC.
Yeah. It's like a dream that I never knew was possible and never thought I'd ever have the opportunity to do. And, you know, we started training camp in November, so we had almost like a 2-month training camp, and then this last month of January, we started playing our games. And it's like, it's been such a great experience at the rink, how professional things are, and the way we're being treated, that I'm so excited every day to go to the rink and do what I love and know that I'm doing it as a job, and that things are being done right, and that all 20, I think there's, there'd be 28 of us in Toronto, something around there, 26, 28 players in Toronto. Like all 26 of us, we all get to come to the rink each day and get better and only focus on hockey. Like you're not focusing on other things like in the past. Like if you want to get better, you can come with a clear mind each day. The staffing is there to make you better. And it's just been an incredible couple months. We're so lucky to be a part of it. We're very grateful. But like you mentioned, the timing is now. The timing is right. We have earned this. A lot of women's sports have earned this opportunity. Now it's about going out there, performing, seeing how much we can raise the bar, not only as players, but in terms of investment and fan engagement, and continue to make this thing grow. Like I'm not going to play for that much longer, but I'm going to watch this thing grow for the rest of my life, and I'm so excited about that.
Fan engagement, huge. 11,000, 13,000. Ottawa, 8,000. Your team sold out for the season. People are grabbing onto this.
Oh yeah, like people are so into it. Like I have people messaging me like, I want to go to a game, like can't get a ticket. And it's like, you look on like these resale sites and people are reselling your tickets for like tons of money. It's like insane. I think my favorite part is like turning on the TV and actually watching other teams play and being a fan yourself. And like, it's so much more professional than it ever has been. And it's so cool to be a fan in that way, and to know that like other people are watching it just as I am, and how popular it is.
And of course, you guys kind of play one of the smaller rinks, but there's going to be an opportunity for you guys to play in the big rink where the Maple Leafs play.
Yes.
Now, I would guess for you guys have played in some of those bigger stages. I guess in the Rivalry Series as well too. But to get that attention as a team, as skaters that are representing Toronto, that's got to be the banging feeling for you guys.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we all, especially being local, like we all grew up going to that rink to watch the Toronto Maple Leafs play, and we've played in that rink before, whether it was with the previous professional leagues that weren't too professional, or with Team Canada. But it's a different feeling this time because it's legit now, and I believe we have potential to sell it out. And it's going to be an exciting, we're playing Montreal. We know all the rivalry on the men's side between the Habs and the Leafs, and there's no doubt about, in my mind, that the women's game is going to have that same level of rivalry between Toronto and Montreal. So just so excited. Love playing in that rink. Love playing in NHL buildings altogether. The lighting's good. The ice is always really good quality. The TV angles, everything looks good from a broadcasting perspective, and they know how to do it right. So that's going to be a fun game.
And you get to drive Poulin through into the boards.
I love playing Pooh. She's like my favorite player to play against. It's a good challenge.
Is she that good?
Yes. Yes. Like she surprises me every time I watch. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like she scored again with like 17 seconds left, and it's like, oh my god, like how? But just so clutch. I've never seen anything like that clutchness.
Yeah.
You know, and I think continuing with the women's sports theme right now, and I know I've heard this in many interviews, and I think it's worth discussion here. Is that right now, as we talk about this being a job and your responsibility and what you wake up for, extending that right now is that the people that are watching you, many of them, as you know, are young, influential kids, women, with an opportunity now to say, I want to be like her. Or even expanding it, I want to be a pro hockey player. And that's possible now. Mm-hmm. That's got to be the best feeling of all.
Yeah, it's really cool. Emma and I actually just ran a practice for the Burlington Barracudas last night together, and we asked at the beginning of practice, how many of you guys have watched the Toronto PWHL team? And so many of them raised their hand because it's accessible on TV, and they get to watch that. They're excited. They were excited to see us. How are you here? You're in the middle of your season. I just saw you on TV, and now you're at my practice. Like, it's pretty neat, and you just think about how much the game can grow now that they can watch us and they can dream and aspire to be there. And not everyone's going to make it. Like, not all these young hockey players are going to make it to the pro level, but it's just about inspiring them to continue to stay in the sport, to see strong, confident women on TV doing what they love. If they choose not to do hockey, they still have, this foundation that they've built from being a part of sport and watching some of their idols. So it's a pretty special feeling. It's cool. I love turning on the TV and seeing it just like another NHL game. Here's a PWHL game. Like, it's super, super cool, and the visibility is a huge part of what this league needs to continue to grow.
And I have this feeling, and this is just a prediction, I hope it happens for you guys so much, because I think to get to that ultimate level, and this has been great for the first year, I have this feeling that Gary Bettman one day, in the very short future, is going to say, we want to get fully involved. And I see this as very much, you grew up watching some soccer, like an English Premier League. Like, there's Manchester City women, Manchester United women. Like, there's a women's team to the big teams as well, too. And there's no reason to me why there can't be a women's Toronto Maple Leafs, a women's Montreal Canadiens. And that I feel that there's going to be some bond, and maybe it'll be like the WNBA. I don't know how it all works, but I feel like these two leagues are going to merge, and it's going to do nothing but even increase the exposure to your league even more so. And I think what we're going to see this week is somebody is going to the NHL AllStar Game, and this is not even the first time for you. What does that feel like?
Yeah, it's huge. It's awesome for our sport to be included in a weekend like this. We've been a part of it in the past, the women's game, but this is different because we're representing our league. And like you mentioned, the NHL has a lot that can help for our league in the future. We have great investors and investment right now, but there's no doubt that something like the NHL can assist us, and hopefully down the road there's some forms of partnerships between teams. Who knows exactly what it will look like, but this platform that we get to play on this Thursday in the PWHL 3-on-3 Women's Showcase is a great opportunity to get our league in front of a different market, the NHL fans, the NHL market. So it's exciting. We're looking forward to it.
And you're going to be part of the 3-on-3, and I believe there's 4 girls from the Toronto team. For women that'll be on that Toronto team, but then somehow they separated you guys a little bit.
Yeah.
Like what's up with that?
We have no idea. We weren't even told how the teams were drafted. We just got put on a team, so who knows where I was drafted amongst the team. But
how hard will you go out? Because when you watch the men's play in the NHL AllStar, they're kind of not going 100% out. But
yeah, there's definitely a fine balance, especially in the women's game. Like, I think we have a duty to go out there and also showcase what we can do. So although it's an all-star game, and in a lot of professional sports, the all-star game isn't always taken that seriously. But I think on the women's side, like, there's a balance. We need to still go out there. We're getting our game in front of new fans for the first time, and they need to be impressed. So we need to be on our game.
When you, and I should have ask you this earlier. It was when you were at that first NHL Alls. Was there somebody that you looked at and you're like, oh my goodness?
There was all of them, honestly. My first AllStar game I went to, I had to demo the skills in front of all the guys on the ice, and I was doing like accuracy shooting.
Oh, I remember this. Okay.
And like so that morning we did a trial run with no one in the rink, and I hit every target immediately. Like no problem. I'm like, okay, this is easy. And at the time, the way the target shooting worked that time was a light would go on, you had to hit it, and if you missed it, another light might go. So if you get off sync, it's really hard to get back on sync.
Okay.
But anyways, I was successful in the morning, so I'm like, it's gonna be easy. So I go out there with 13,000 people in the rink and all the NHL guys sitting there on the ice, and I go and I had a little bit harder than I did that morning of a time to get all the targets. But anyways, it was a lot of fun. But yeah, I was just like, it was so fun to just sit on the bench with them and interact with them. Obviously, Austin Matthews was there, and being a Leaf, that was pretty cool to be around him. But yeah, it was pretty cool to be like ice level with them, watch them do the skills, and they're super respectful and of us and our game, so they're always very great to be around.
And talking to a number of them, they're so looking up to you in so many ways of what you are doing in this sort of pioneer league and making your way up. And you know, even that little moment there with Sarah scoring that girl a goal on Shesterkin and her reaction like that too, just a beautiful, beautiful moment. And I'm sure this is going to be a wonderful moment for you for many other reasons, sort of watching your teammates and hoping you get there next year.
Oh yeah, I'm going to the game for sure. I'm going to go watch. Let's go.
Let's go. You know, hey guys, this has been wonderful. This has been amazing, giving us a good peek in of your lives on a personal basis and on a team basis. And I can only wish you, continued success and luck and you've got a lot of years left, so I don't even want to go there. You've got a long time left to go, and watching your career bud and shine. And I know even that first victory, you got an assist on the Spooner's first goal, and you scored the shorthanded winner, if I remember correctly. I mean, we're cheering for you, right? We're cheering for you in this area. You represent us really, really well, and as I said, I think there's just nothing more but big things to come for you guys, and we'll be all watching. So thank you so much for telling us exactly what's going on with your lives right now, and I hope you can get on the couch again.
Yes, we'd love to.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Anytime, guys. You know what, folks, that's your Sportsline podcast for the day. I got a little bit something going on with my throat, and as you've just seen and heard, our athletes, they certainly have great stories to tell. And if you do know of an athlete, team, or an event to promote, the Sportsline podcast wants to hear from you. One final request: if you do like what you're seeing, give us that thumbs up, the like, and subscribe on that button wherever you watch your podcast. For the wonderful minds and hands that make the Sportsline podcast possible, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.